Hello everyone, how are you? Alright, today's video is gonna be a little bit weird. I need you to buckle in for me. Today I'm gonna explain the plots, characters, relationships of TV shows. So rambling about these TV shows and what happens, except I'm gonna talk about shows that I have never seen before. So I will be 100% confidently incorrect. If there shows that you haven't seen before, don't worry about spoilers because I will not be right. Other shows you have seen, prepare because I'm gonna butcher your absolute favorite TV shows. Are you ready? Okay. I call this Jubilee's 100% accurate TV show descriptions. And I hope you have fun. I've got 10 shows. We're starting with Succession. Okay. All I know about this show, this guy in the middle here, the old guy, I don't know where I'm gonna put the photo. This is their dad. The dad, he owns a business. I think this might be correct. And his children are the girl and I feel like the two people whose hands are on the chair, these are his two kids, and the whole show is about who's going to take over the family business. Her name is Olivia, and his name is Macaulay. Definitely not because I'm pretty sure he's Macaulay Culkin's brother. The other guy standing next to Olivia is the old guy, we'll call him John. That's John's brother. And the reason why he looks so grumpy with his arms crossed is because John has been completely cut out of the business. Like, he is not in line for this business at all. So he's just serves to be this grumpy thorn in John's side all the time. And the other guy sitting down is Macaulay's husband. Unbeknownst to the family, Macaulay's husband is actually secretly trying to take over as well. I don't know if he would take his husband's place or they would rule this company together. Okay, you don't rule a company, do you? You run a company. I know a lot about running a business. So that's where we find ourselves in the show. If you look at the next photo, you can see there's a lot of tension. So we've got the couple over on the far right. Clearly, Macaulay is getting pushed out of his own family. His husband is taking over, and he's looking to be the front runner to take over the family business. I don't know who this guy is in the back, but he's looking away from the family completely. Maybe he's like a long-lost brother who really had no ambitions about taking over the family business. That's why he's looking away. He's not interested. John, meanwhile, in the middle is like, I don't even think I want to retire. My kids are just driving me up the wall. And then you see the brother, I didn't even give him a name. We'll call him Austin. Austin's like, just die so I can take over, please. Because he's secretly been trying to kill his brother because there's like a clause that if John dies of natural causes, his brother will take over. But if he retires, the business goes to one of the kids. So that's where there's some tension coming in here. Meanwhile, Olivia's like, I'm still all business. I will be running this company by the time the show is done. And wait, which one is that? Oh wait, that's not the husband. That's the husband on the other side. That's Macaulay's husband. I don't know who this other guy is then. That's standing next to Macaulay. Okay, sorry, that's the husband. I have facial blindness. I'm sorry. I do get people mixed up. I'm really bad about recognizing faces. I don't seriously have it. I think I have a form of it. Okay. In this next photo, the main theme of this season was a big family dinner that they had that went really, really poorly because Macaulay's husband over there On the side, he was responsible for cooking the main course of the meal, and he completely botched it. It really ruined the whole meal, and it even gave Olivia food poisoning. Like, so she was in the bathroom the whole time. So everyone's looking at him. Everyone's like, "You messed this up, man. We were counting on you to cook that turkey really well." And he absolutely ruined it. There's a line going down the table signifying that this family is now divided in half for those who are like, "You guys put too much on his shoulders to make this cook this turkey." And the other half's like, all he had to do was cook a turkey, and he couldn't do that. So we really calmed down in this season. It's less about the family business, and it's more about the family dinner. And then in this last image that I grabbed, by the way, if you're wondering what I did, I basically googled the names of these shows that I've never seen, and I put like season 1 after the end, and without reading anything, I'm just in the images tab. I just copy an image that looked interesting and put it in my little presentation to use as a reference. So I don't even know 100% if these images are from like season 1, 2, 3, 4, because I really know nothing about this show, clearly. In this last season, this is Olivia's husband. They are going through a divorce because Olivia realizes that he's never been as supportive as Macaulay's husband was, but unbeknownst to her, you know, he's secretly trying to take over the business, and it's not even his family. So she's like, "Why can't you just be more supportive?" And he's like, "I can cook a really good turkey, though. He can't even make a good turkey, so I don't know why you're comparing the two of us." And that's basically how the show ends. It's all up in the air, and in the end, the dad, John, decides, "I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna pour all my money into anti-aging potions and just never die, and you guys can never have the business." And that is Succession. Okay, so that was 100% accurate. I know. And I know that I'm probably making my friends so mad, because I have one friend who is so into this show. Like, all he does is not all he does is talk about it, but he talks about it a lot. And I've never seen it. I think if he heard everything I just said, he would probably be like crying. Okay, next show. Grey's Anatomy. Yeah, I've never seen a single moment from this show. I just know it goes on forever and ever and ever. Like, as I'm typing in Grey's Anatomy season 1 to get a picture, Grey's Anatomy season 2 to get a picture, I'm seeing like 14, 15 popping up, and I'm like, how many seasons does the show have? I think it has 16. Guys, why did we make so much Grey's Anatomy? Okay, so I'm looking at the season 1 cast photo. This guy all the way on the left, that is Grey. I don't know if Grey is his first name or his last name, but this is his hospital. He's just known as Dr. Grey, and no one knows if it's his first or last name. And the whole thing is about his hospital. This is his cast of promising young doctors next to him, and RNs maybe, or maybe they're all doctors. I cannot be bothered to name them all. And similar to Succession, he is looking for maybe someone to train, follow in his footsteps to become chief of the hospital. What's that called? You know that title? I don't know enough about hospitals and the medical practice to know. So Sandra Oh's character, I really don't know her name. I just know Sandra Oh. Sandra Oh falls in love with one of her patients, which is like, that's a big no-no in the medical world. So Grey's like, you have to break up with this woman. 1, because she's about to be released from the hospital, and 2, this is just unprofessional, and I cannot have unprofessional doctors working in my hospital. So either you break up with her before she recovers from the flu, gross by the way, or you're fired. And Sandra Oh tearfully has this scene with her before they break up, and then she recovers from the flu and is released from the hospital. I think this is photos from a later season. As we can see, Dr. Gray has been pushed way to the far side of the photo. He's becoming irrelevant, and that's because this guy, Dr. Hare, is becoming more and more prevalent. He's younger, he's richer, he drives a fancy sports car, he has everything going for him, and the patients just love him. They're like, we want him to treat us, we don't want you anymore, Dr. Gray. Dr. Gray doesn't even treat patients, I think, because he's running the hospital. So yeah, slowly Dr. Hare's kind of usurping Dr. Gray and taking over his hospital, and it's big drama. I think this is a photo from the season finale. I'm not 100% sure. Sandra Oh's character has been pushed to the edge. Over all this time, Dr. Gray's been telling her she can't date the patients. Dr. Hare's been showing her up, looking all fancy, and she's had enough. She shows up one day and holds the entire hospital hostage and says, make me head of this hospital or I put everyone in the hospital. Ironically, they were all already there. It was kind of an empty, hollow threat. They ended up subduing her, and she was fired. Her medical license was revoked, and I don't see a single character from these early photos. I'm so confused. Oh wait, there's Dr. Gray. And Dr. Gray was offered a brand new position at a brand new hospital, so finally Dr. Hare could have this hospital and Dr. Gray could go live out the rest of his life as a nice doctor in a smaller town, but it's quieter and there's no enraged former doctors holding people hostage. So there's a lot of other things happen in between that. There's a lot of other characters, lots of melodrama, relationships, and all that. But that's the premise of Grey's Anatomy, basically. Okay, next is Yellowjackets, and I actually really want to see this. I've got a friend who's been telling me to watch it for like over a year now. I just didn't have a streaming service that had it, so I think it's on something now because I think season 2 just came out, but I really don't know anything about it other than she described it as being like a bunch of women, that it was like an almost all-female cast. So my initial thought was that it was about a group of entomologists, people who study insects. They were particularly focused on the yellowjacket. So they went out. I heard something about women in the woods. So they went to the woods to study this elusive yellowjacket. It's like a rare species. And drama ensues. However, when I looked up photos for it, that didn't really seem to align with my headcanon. They look like high school teachers, because I think the Yellowjacket is their mascot. So, okay, new idea. So these are two high school teachers, and they take their group of girls. It's an all-girls school on a field trip, but the bus breaks down and it's a Lord of the Flies kind of situation. They have to live out in the woods. Simultaneously, there's some sort of deer creature stalking them, but unbeknownst to them, it is actually a boy who tried to get in to the school, and they wouldn't let him in because he wasn't a girl, and he was citing gender equality. This is unfair. And so he began stalking them, their campsite, as they're in the woods. And then they had a prom. They make it out of the woods just in time for prom, and Melanie Linsky puts on this little number. She looks great. All the teachers look nice. They look like they mean business, but they can't forget the events of the the woods. Season 2, they haven't learned their lesson. They go back for another field trip, and this time during the winter, and once again, this terrible bus breaks down. They really need to replace this bus at this point, and they get stranded again, but this time it's winter. So this time they're stuck in the snow. And the Yellowjacket thing comes back into play because it turns out this elusive Yellowjacket, I'm bringing it back, that is a part of this show. It's a special kind of Yellowjacket that only comes out when it snows. It's like a reverse hibernation. And that's what they're all looking at, actually. It's really big and it's casting off light. And yeah, that's where Yellowjackets season 2 leaves off. I liked my idea that they were entomologists more, but okay. Next one is a really big one that I know is gonna get some "you've never seen that" comments, but Breaking Bad. Now, I do sort of know the plot of this, because at this point, it's like, how could you not know, right? I would have to really be living under a rock, and I haven't completely been living under a rock, only like a little pebble. Yeah, like a pebble-sized rock. So this is Walter and Jesse. I'm pretty sure that's their names, and I'm pretty sure the plot is that Walter is a teacher. I want to say he teaches like chemistry or something like that. Ends up with a terminal diagnosis and wants to, because he makes a teacher salary and teachers get paid, trust me, I would know, he wants to make sure his family is set up after he's gone. Consults his former student. I wouldn't imagine, just based on how old he looks, that he's a current student. Of course, I know that Hollywood, often takes early 30s people and goes, they're in high school. So maybe I want to say he's like a former student. Maybe he got kicked out for dealing drugs, and that's how Walter knows to go to him and is like, teach me how to make drugs. And together they set up a little business and they start selling drugs and making a lot of money. And what I don't know is where it goes from there. I have absolutely no idea what happens. So based on these photos, okay, so Walter gets a real serious outfit change in the later seasons. It's quite a look. That's quite a look. Basically, the drug business has gone so well. His family has so much money at this point that he can stop thinking about drugs, and he can go back to his number one love, which was chemistry that was not related to drugs. So he decides he and Jesse have been through so much together. One last hurrah is that they're going to enter this big chemistry competition, and they're not doing it for the money, they're doing it for the fame and the personal success, and it will come full circle. So Jesse and Walter are all in on this chemistry competition, and basically Walter is training Jesse because Walter won't be able to participate himself. It's more like he's his guide, and he meets Mr. Gray. It's not just because he's wearing all gray. Oh gosh, I'm so uncreative today. Mr. Gray is a rival chemistry professor. He went for his doctorate, so there's a little bit of resentment there. They know each other from the old chemistry days, but Mr. Gray always thought he was better than Walter. I don't know his last name because he went for the full PhD, and Walter was stuck teaching high school, so he looks down on him, and Walter always feels like, you let go of what really was important, which was the love of chemistry. So you've lost sight of everything, and that's where this tension comes from. Okay. Mr. Gray has a star pupil of his own, and you see him here in this photo. So Mr. Gray, who's not wearing gray anymore, but don't let that confuse you, he's been training up this young lad. Let's call him, I was about to say Jesse, that's the name of the other guy. I can't call him Jesse too. His name is James. Jesse and James. And he's, Mr. Gray's like calling him up on the phone all the time, like, James is gonna kick Jesse's butt. Like, there's smack talk being passed around. Like, it's getting dirty. Let me have a sip of water. Hold on. It's getting really bad. I just whacked the mic. Okay, great. So yeah, they're constantly like having these like street chemist fights where they pit Jesse and James against each other. It's like a street dance-off, but instead there's like a table and beakers set up. So they have these illegal, unsanctioned street chemist fights, and it's looking neck and neck. You as the viewer, you're like not sure who's gonna win. It does look like James has the edge on Jesse a little bit, because James does have more formal education. He did go to college where he met Dr. Gray. Oh my god, did I say Gray because the other guy's name was Dr. Gray? I have 2 Dr. Gray characters. Oh my god. My brain is mush today. Okay, well, we're gonna stick with Dr. Gray, that's fine. There's 2 Dr. Grays, but this one is not a doctor. He is a, he's a PhD in chemistry. Okay, so James has had a lot of formal education training from Dr. Gray, so on paper he is the favored winner of this competition. Walter fears that Jesse is not going to win this competition. He doubts him. He does doubt him, and he, with the help of his wife, secretly sabotage the competition and then destroy the evidence. So they go off and they bury the evidence that they cheated out in the desert here, and his wife is like really disappointed at him. She's like, you used to be such a good teacher, you cared so much about academic integrity, you would never cheat. If your students were caught cheating, you would fail them. So to see you resort to cheating is an all-time low. I'll help you, but our marriage is over. And an anonymous tip gets put into the competition. It was probably his wife, that there was cheating. Jesse gets disqualified, and he's so upset because he had nothing to do with this cheating. It was all Walter, and he tries to tell them that, but of course they don't really believe him. Jesse and Walter get barred from ever competing in chemistry competitions ever again. They're not going to nationals, they're not even going to regionals, and now and the season finale, Walter looks through the window of his old classroom, remembering the good old days and just wondering, where did it all go wrong? What happened? I was happy as a drug dealer. And that is the end of Breaking Bad. Now there was a spin-off. I note that this is a spin-off called Better Call Saul, and this is Saul, and he is a character from the Breaking Bad universe. I think he is the guy who Walter hired to represent him in the case of the cheating, but Saul managed to keep him from going to academic jail, but he is not a great lawyer, so you know they were barred from ever competing again. So they kind of won the case, but then they kind of didn't. The spin-off show opens with Saul spending his check that Walter paid him for the chemistry case, and with it he starts no, he already had a practice. He starts living a really lavish lifestyle with that chemistry money. Yeah. Jonathan Banks, I guess, becomes his new client slash friend. Look at the two of them. Look how happy they look together. Just best buds, peas in a pod. But Jonathan betrays him, and then Saul himself ends up in prison. And then there's Jonathan, and then Jonathan, feeling bad about the fact that he was the one who betrayed him, is like, I'll represent you, buddy. And yeah, I genuinely have no idea what this show is about. All I know is he's a lawyer of some sort. Oh look, and there's Mr. Gray lurking in the background. Dr. Gray, whatever. He's in the background. He's the one that put in the tip to get him arrested. I don't know, I'm just making all this up as I go along, in case that wasn't incredibly obvious. Okay, this next show is a little older, and no, I've never seen it, although I kind of feel like I maybe should have seen it. It is Supernatural. I remember like 10 years ago or so, people would talk about Superwholock, which is a combination of Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock, and I watched Doctor Who and Sherlock, so you would think that I would also watch Supernatural. I didn't, and I don't know anything about it. Yeah, I really don't. So, I know that one of the characters' name is Dean. I'm gonna say it's the one. The two guys in the middle are the main characters. And they're either brothers or lovers. I don't know. I genuinely, from the little clips of like Tumblr posts and stuff that people have posted about them, which is all I've seen of the show, I genuinely don't know if they're dating or if they're related. Oh, it's not good. Okay, I think the one on the left is Dean. I'm probably totally wrong. And the other one's name is like Samuel or something. Let's play brothers or lovers. And okay, look at this next photo. Tell me that is not a love triangle. Tell me that's not a love triangle. Come on. This guy on the right is a guy who at one point they decided to become a throuple, and so they invited this guy into the relationship, but he was more into Samuel than he was Dean, and Dean took that really personally. That's why they're both flanking him in this photo. So the whole premise of the show is that Samuel is a huge supernatural skeptic, while Dean, the other guy, is a big supernatural fan. Werewolves, mummies, vampires, you name it, he's into it. So this is a big contentious point in their relationship, as Samuel's always like, I love you, but I just can't get over the fact that you believe in werewolves. And even though throughout the show there are clearly like actual supernatural things happening that really lend the idea that there is supernatural stuff happening in this world. Sorry, I just saw the next part. Okay. So this whole time, Dean is trying to get him to believe in it. He's like, now do you believe me? Now do you believe me? Eventually, they realize that this is straining their relationship and that they're gonna break up if some sort of point is not made here. So in an attempt to bond with him and show him that he does believe him and he doesn't think that this is all hokum, they get matching tattoos. And it kind of looks like a supernatural-ish tattoo. It's a tattoo that represents like the secret society of supernatural fans. It's how you recognize each other in the wild. You go, are you one of us? It would have been great if I had done that and I had like done like a little temporary tattoo right there. How great would that have been? After they get this tattoo, Dean, I keep getting them mixed up. I can't remember who I decided was Dean and who was Samuel. Dean is like, wow, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really sorry that I ever doubted your belief in my beliefs. And they hug, and then Samuel's like, ugh, because he still doesn't technically believe in it. And the show ends. They're about to retire, put down their life as private investigators. Did I not mention they're private investigators this whole time? They're private investigators. They have a business together, and the clients that come to them have like these supernatural elements to the case, but Samuel always has a way of explaining it, like, oh, it was a gas leak, so they're finally about to retire when a vampire steals Dean, the supernatural loving one, away, and now Samuel's left to confront, like, oh my gosh, I should have believed him, and now I am alone. It's really sad ending, actually. What if they're actually brothers, and this whole time I've been thinking that they're dating? It's gonna be awful. But come on, tell me that is not a shot from like Brokeback Mountain. Look at it. This is them moments before the vampire carries him off. The vampire can fly. He carries him off, never to be seen again. Kind of a sad ending. Speaking of vampires, we're rolling right into the next one, which is Vampire Diaries. I have heard a lot of people talk about the show, and I've never seen it. Right off the bat. This is the main girl. I want to call her Bella. We'll call her Ella. This is Ella, and Ella is just a totally normal, plain Jane American teenager. She's super boring, but all the kids at school think she's really weird. She just doesn't fit in with them for some reason, Then she meets the one on the right. Clearly this is the good vampire and this is the bad vampire, like, right? Okay, good vampire, bad vampire. And I actually think I know their names. I think one is Stefan, and I think the other one is like Damien or Damon. The only reason I know this is because sometimes when I'm playing The Sims, I just want my sim to have a hot vampire boyfriend, okay? And so I go into the gallery and I type in vampire or something, hot vampire, and I always see these guys come up, these two, and the people who make Sims are really, really good, so they look genuinely just like these guys. But I often see the names, it'll say Stefan and Damien or something like that, which makes sense. They're kind of older, older European kind of sounding names if they're like old vampires. So these two, once again, brothers or lovers. I think that these two, they grew up together when they were mortal. They were just normal little lads. They grew up in the same town together. They were best friends. They were inseparable. Then they became vampires together. That was a whole other story. Basically, they became vampires together, so they grew in their vampiric power together until they both fell in love with the same girl. This is hundreds of years before Ella was born, so this is a long time ago. They fall in love with the same girl. Now, good guy vampire, let's say he's Stefan, he just wants to protect her and keep her safe. And bad guy vampire is like, she should be a vampire too, because then she'll never age or die. And this is against what Stefan wants, so they argue about this, and in the argument, Damien, bad guy vampire, accidentally kills her, and this has caused, obviously, a massive rift between the two of them, because in the end, Damien wasn't too fussed. He was like, oh well, that's what humans do, they die. And Stefan is like absolutely heartbroken over it. He's gonna lock himself in his room and write sad poetry for 100 years now. So this has absolutely destroyed their relationship. They're now mortal enemies. And until Stefan meets Ella, and he's like, I thought I could never love again. I thought I would never feel love again. I got very excited and whacked the microphone. He's like, I never thought I would find love again. But here it is, standing before me in the form of this fragile, young, mortal girl. And here comes evil vampire to steal her away. And so they have like a fight, and you know, he's like, you haven't changed at all. And eventually, I assume Ella does get turned into a vampire, because it would be super boring if she didn't. So she gets turned into a vampire, and at which point she goes mad with power. Like, it completely changes her, and she starts aligning with the bad one more than the good vampire, even though he still loves her and he's still like, the real Ella is in there somewhere. But she actually goes too far extreme, and Ella starts thinking that they should. I'm sorry, I just realized my pants are inside out. Okay, I'm sorry, my pants are inside out. Let's move on and pretend that didn't happen. Okay, so Ella goes too far, too extreme, and she's like, we need to start killing the townsfolk for sport and eating them. Like, why are we not ruling the world? And even the evil guy's like, Ella, calm down. If we start doing that, everyone's gonna know we're vampires and we'll be eradicated, because we're kind of weak in like the sun and stuff, and garlic and steaks. So it comes to a point where he actually tries to drive a stake through her heart, and she's like, you won't do it, you still love me, you guys both love me. And yeah, true to form, Stefan's like, don't do it, I know there's still good in her. But she's like, peace, bye. She leaves and goes and forms her own coven highway in the mountains away from civilization, where she's gathering vampires, she's gathering them up, and they're gonna take over the world. Now, it's up to Stefan and Damien, I still don't know what his name is, we'll say it's Damien, to team up and take down. So it's like a reverse from the beginning, where they fought over this girl and she ended up dying. Now they're gonna fight together and try to kill Ella. They do eventually have to kill her. There's a big confrontation, where it was revealed that she secretly had a child with Stefan years ago, back when she was still mortal. And she's like, don't kill me, I have a child. And they're like, you're the worst mother ever, where's this child even been? And so then they kill her. They think that that's like a lie, but then when they go back home, they discover there is a young little half-vampire child there. And so Stefan and Damien, and Damien's ex is this blonde vampire girl. She's cute. They all end up raising this little half-vampire child together. That's where it ends. So yeah, tell me how wrong I was. I think I don't even need to watch it now. I think I just watched it in my mind, and it was great. It was full of vampire dramatics and tension, and okay, we're moving on. Euphoria. I've heard everyone talk about Euphoria. Never seen it, although I do really, really love Zendaya, so I feel like I would like it, but I've heard she's like sad to watch, hard to watch, because she's so good in this role or whatever. So to me, knowing that it's set in like high school, Euphoria is a modern, darker, grittier remake of Glee. Zendaya's character Rue, I think, is Rachel. So they shortened Rachel to Rue. So she's basically the star. She's this, I mean, we all know Zendaya can really sing, right? So she gets to sing a few times, but she has I think a drug addiction past that she's trying to come to terms with, and it's holding her back vocally, creatively, emotionally, and mentally. It's holding her back from getting all the starring roles, because she'll relapse. She used to think that, the drugs cause creativity and the pain that you need to emote as an artist, but in reality it's holding her back. It's much darker than Glee. Meanwhile, you have the cheerleaders. These are the cheerleaders. These are the three main ones. The one on the left here, Sydney Sweeney, this character, I think. She was the Diana Agron character. Gosh, what was her name? Quinn, I think. I did watch Glee ages ago. Quinn, the one who gets pregnant. But she's the queen bee cheerleader. This other, the one yelling at her, is the Santana. And she is always beating the Santana out for these roles, even though Santana can sing better. So she's really getting up in her face. Meanwhile, her on the right, I don't remember her name, she's the dancer. So really she's just here to dance and have fun, and she doesn't necessarily care about the big parts, because she's more of a background dancer. But she's supportive. She's her ride or die, basically. And there's this big plot point where Sydney Sweeney's character put something in the other girl's drink and causes her voice to really be kind of ruined temporarily. So she ends up getting the big role in the big school musical, where she plays looks like a Guys and Dolls or something. They have this big bathroom confrontation. When she finds out that it was her kind of ex-friend, they're kind of like frenemies, that it was her that betrayed her. Meanwhile, again, our girl over here, she's just ride or die, she's just having fun, she's just here for the drama because she doesn't sing, she's just a dancer. Yeah, they have a big school play. I know that. This is the only thing I know about this show. And it's high drama. So, I don't know who got the lead role in that, but I think that there was a lot of drama surrounding that. And then the end of it is really bittersweet, because Rue accepts that she can be supportive of her friends and loved ones in the arts rather than always needing to be the star. I think this is her girlfriend, and she's kissing her and being like, I will support you, my star. You be the star. And she's encouraging her before she goes up to do her big audition. That's why they're in the theater, the auditorium. And that is how it ends. Yeah, it's basically all just glee. It's them in musicals. It's, yeah, musical kids, theater kids, drama, and they don't go to regionals once. It's darker, like I said. Yeah, and obviously they couldn't call it Glee, so they called it Euphoria. It's like kind of a synonym for Glee, right? I think I'm pretty close. Another one that I feel like I've heard a lot of people talk about and I've never seen is Bridgerton, and yeah, I don't know why this just doesn't appeal to me. I for some reason never really got into this like Jane Eyre, Jane Austen, the Bronte sisters works. I was never really into them. Wuthering Heights, never read it. Just didn't intrigue me, so the concept of this show didn't really intrigue me. I think that, oh, look at this. Who brought you Grey's Anatomy? And Scandal, another show I haven't seen. So, it starts off as a love story between these two. He is the prince, but he's not allowed to marry her because she comes from a lower class, which is still a very high class, but it's just like not princess level, you know? Like, his mom has unreasonably high standards for her. Also, she maybe would have been okay with it had it not been for her fringe. It's just so short. It's so short. So, she was like, grow your fringe out some or get a new hairstyle and then maybe you can date my son. Then we'll talk. So, it's similar to Succession, where everyone is really vying for the crown. The queen is getting up there in years and she really wants her son to marry so that she can abdicate and live out her retirement and eat a lot of cake and just be merry and all that. These two are cousins of the royal family, so they are in line somewhere. Let's see this. She is Florence and this is Maxime. And the dog is Cheddar from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's the same dog. It's literally the same dog. Just copy and paste it into this universe. And, spoiler alert, but the dog actually ends up becoming queen. So it's looking like these two will scheme and kick the prince out so that one of them can become queen, but swoop, in comes Isabel. This is our Isabel. She's a lady in waiting to Lady Maxime, and she has secretly been trying to undermine the entire royal family, take them all out and steal Cheddar, the dog, and the two of them will live happily ever after. So she's written herself into the will of the queen, poisoned the queen, took the dog, and she and the dog lived happily ever after. That's the story of Bridgerton. Obviously there's a lot more royal intrigue and all that happens in between, but that is the gist of it. There's a lot of balls and fancy clothes and flirting and all that, but it really boils down to this woman and the dog. Okay. The last show we're gonna cover is Emily in Paris, or Emily in Paris, which is actually she is actually the American reincarnation of Marie Antoinette. So the show starts with her booking a flight to Paris, where she's going to enact her revenge. The whole thing is really kind of a bit of a bloody slasher thriller show. It's all her trying to enact revenge for what happened to her and her husband and the whole royal family centuries ago. So she's still got her love of fashion, as you can see. That plays a big part of it. The fact that even though she looks completely different and she's a modern woman, she still has the same Marie Antoinette tastes for luxury and the grander things in life. Very quickly into entering Paris, she meets this girl, Jessica. Unbeknownst to Emily, Jessica is actually the reincarnation of King Louis, her long deceased husband. Jessica knows that she's Marie Antoinette, but Emily does not know that Jessica is Louis. So Jessica starts falling in love with Emily / Marie again, and Emily confides in her that she's been going around Paris stalking the citizens and, taking them out, basically. And Jessica's really healed and moved past the trauma of the guillotine all these years later. Really, she would like to just enjoy this second shot at life, just in modern Paris, enjoying the local food and the culture. So she really doesn't approve of Emily's butcherings, but she still loves and supports her. Emily is the only person who or Jessica's the only person who knows what Emily really is. You can see here she's still enjoying having people wait on her hand and foot, as she still thinks she is the queen. And for some reason, Emily and Jessica can only meet on this park bench. I don't know why. And in the end, Jessica desperately tries to get Emily to stop murdering the people of Paris and just live with her happily ever after. In the end, that doesn't happen. It is a sad ending. Well, so far, it ended on a cliffhanger, literally, where the guillotine was hanging in the balance above Emily's head. And you thought, will it come down? Won't it come down? But then the show ended, and we have to wait till season 4, I think, to find out. Personally, I think Louis / Jessica is gonna step in, save the day, and save Emily / Marie, but we'll have to see, won't we? I do think that Jessica's gonna have to reveal that she is King Louis, and then they'll go eat cake. So that is Emily in Paris, basically. What do you think? It's a very bloody film. It's very dark. It's very gritty. Yeah. Whereas Breaking Bad is a lighthearted romp about two guys who love chemistry and just want to compete in a chemistry competition together. So those are my takes on these TV shows. I would love to know how horribly right and wrong I was. I don't think I was right in the slightest. I imagine there was almost nothing I was right about, except for maybe some characters' names that I had already heard. And if you liked this idea for a video, let me know. I could always do this with some movies too. There really is a lot of popular shows and stuff that I haven't seen. It's not like I live under a rock, I don't know, I've watched other stuff. I don't know. To be fair, when I was looking up popular shows right now and stuff like that, I had seen a good chunk of them, or at least some of them. Like Stranger Things, I've seen season 1 and 2, but I hadn't seen the later ones. I really couldn't do that because I do largely know what the show is about and the characters and their relationships with each other. So some things wouldn't work, but thank you, Liam. But I could definitely do another if you thought that this was fun. I hope it made you laugh. And more importantly, I hope it helped you relax to hear me drone on and on about these shows. Don't forget, it's all in good fun. None of it is serious. I don't actually think that these are the plots of the films, but depending on how good the show is or not, I might prefer my version. I don't know. We'll see. I'm currently on my way to go Google the plots of these shows just to see how terrible, how horribly right and wrong I was. So, thank you guys for watching. Yeah, leave a comment, tell me what your favorite part was, if I talked about your favorite show, and what you thought of my take on it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing and turning notifications on and all that.